So I get this question all the time. I created my entity and what am I supposed to do next? So I created this blog article so that I can walk you through the key steps you should take after you create your entity. First things first, you'll want to make sure that you open a bank account for your entity. You'll have to walk into the bank with your articles of organization, with your EIN letter, and an operating agreement if you have one. So if you are a single member LLC, meaning it's just you that owns it, you may not have an operating agreement. It's not necessarily required. You really want to have an operating agreement when there are two or more owners. So open your bank account. You most likely will get that question from the bank and about the operating agreement. Don't get tripped up by it. Just let them know I'm a single member LLC. We do not have an operating agreement. Great. Next thing you'll want to do is set up your bookkeeping and accounting software. So I recommend Wave Accounting. It's great for startups. The best part about it is that it is free. I will put links below to the different softwares that you can access. Zero is really great because you can start to create rules to automate, and it's a great alternative to QuickBooks. Nothing wrong with QuickBooks. I know a lot of people know QuickBooks just because it has brand recognition, but I'm here to let you know there are some alternatives out there that are at a lower cost, if not free. Next, you'll want to make sure that you get any business licenses that are required by your state or county. Those you'll want to check with your Secretary of State or with the county clerk to see what licenses you might need, or you may need to check with your professional board if you are a professional service organization to make sure your license is in good standing. The next thing is securing business insurance. So you'll want to reach out to a commercial insurance broker. Hiscox is another online-based insurance company. I've used it in the past, but again, you don't have to use what I use. You may have a relationship with another insurance agent, but make sure you have the right coverage and really sit with them to talk about what types of contracts and services you'll offer and making sure that you have all the right coverages. So essentially, I'm not going to go into a huge deep dive about insurance because I'm not an insurance agent, but you'll want to make sure you ask them, what coverages do you think I need? What limits are required? What are the minimums? And, you'll want to make sure you understand all of that when you're getting that policy set up. That's going to protect you in the event that you are sued or someone slips and falls, etc. Next thing is that you want to comply with your tax obligations. So first things first, you want to get those due dates on your calendar and then also add a date to get information over to your tax accountant. You don't want to wait for a day or two before the deadline because you're going to be at the back of the list. Get that information updated and completed as early as possible. I say January 15th for business owners. That's the best date. That's when your last estimated tax payment is due for Q4 of the prior year. So at a minimum, you need your bookkeeping done before January 15th. And by January 15th, you should have everything somewhat finalized and in a place where you can make that last estimated tax payment if applicable. And hopefully get that information over to your accountant at the same time. The next thing is drafting that operating agreement. So all of those things that happen before all the other 5 steps I mentioned, those are just being able to open your doors and operate. The operating agreement is almost like the constitution for your entity. So this is going to talk about how you vote. This is going to be determine how you split earnings and how much capital people are putting in. It's going to have a lot of legalese and a lot of data. So I recommend having an attorney draft that for you. You can absolutely start with a draft that you can just start the conversation with yourself and your business partner if you have more than one, if this is not a single member LLC. Those drafts are really just a starting point. I would still start the conversation, look over the draft with your partner, then go to an attorney and you may add a few extra things, you may take things out, go to an attorney, have them start with that template and then update it for what's appropriate for your entity. Okay, so operating agreements really should not be boilerplate language. They should be completely customized to your entity. So that's it for now. I'll make sure I put a link to this article so you can read it in more detail, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Ciao.